this is Shelley Stern-Grach with Microsoft, and I'm pleased to welcome you today to Civic Chat Networking Our Neighborhoods. Our guest today is Celena Roldan. She's the Executive Director of Erie Neighborhood House. Celena, thank you for being our guest today. It's great to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me, Shelley.
Our pleasure. So let's tell everybody a little bit about Erie Neighborhood House and what you do.
Sure. So Erie Neighborhood House is celebrating 145 years of service this year.
Congratulations.
We're one of the original settlement house organizations founded around really serving the immigrant community, and those services still stay true today. So our mission is really to provide advocacy, education, and skill building through education. And so those are primarily in the program areas of early childhood, after school youth programming, adult education, workforce development, and our primary advocacy and policy areas are doing work around immigration.
That's terrific. So tell us a little bit about your locations.
Sure. So we have 4 sites. We have our primary settlement house sites that are in the Westtown area, as well as our 3rd site, which is in Little Village, which is really our program and site that's growing as the community also expands in Little Village. And then we have our partner charter school, Erie Elementary Charter School, that's in Humboldt Park.
That's terrific. I know that you weave in technology into a lot of your programming. Can you spotlight how you use technology?
So as we know, the technology is part of all of the programming that we now do, and we are in the age of technology.
Absolutely.
From our young people in early childhood through our youth and their media arts work. But a huge part of the technology component that we have is within our adult learning components and programs that we do at Erie Neighborhood House. In 1996, we opened our Community Technology Center, and every year across our sites, we serve over 900 participants through our adult learning and technology programs.
That is terrific. So almost 1,000 people a year at the adult learner stage on technology. That's terrific. Tell me a little bit more about the immigration. I mean, obviously you started out as a settlement house. Those issues are still very real today. What kind of programming do you provide there for immigrants?
The immigrant population, we know, has contributed to our community and to Erie Neighborhood House for over 150 years.
Right.
And so we've been very fortunate to be able to continue that work with the immigrant community here in Chicago. And so they take part in the variety of programs that we have at Erie Neighborhood House. But primarily we do provide citizenship and advocacy work in terms of being able to help the immigrant community go through the citizenship process, help our young people access now what is DACA, which is the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, and be able to work and receive a work permit. And we're continuing our work around advocacy around comprehensive immigration reform nationwide.
That is terrific. What about voter registration? Is that a piece of it?
So voter registration, we did take part in a huge get out the vote effort last year in last year's election, particularly at the governor's level this year in Illinois. And that was a huge piece of being able to, and also the senator elections that were happening and the Congress elections that were happening last year.
So all of them pretty much.
For last year as well, exactly. And I'm sure we'll stay involved at the presidential level as well. And I think it particularly is around young people and getting these young people that are turning 18 and really talking to them about civic engagement and how important and how their vote matters, and getting them involved at the local level as well as the national level.
So that's vitally important to all of our neighborhoods.
Yes.
So can you share a couple of success stories or case studies about what's going on in our neighborhoods that Erie House has really impacted?
So I think the technology and the adult components of our work, really, they're learning the skills. They come at it can be everything from basic Microsoft to more advanced computer technology pieces, how to read electronic blueprints, because as the skill levels change for higher level jobs, and we're hearing from employers all the time, we need higher skilled people.
Absolutely.
We have jobs available if these people have the skills. So that's a huge piece of what Erie Neighborhood House does in terms of being able to teach them the computer skills that they need to get these higher level jobs. So we've had someone that, for example, Jose and his child who's enrolled in our preschool program, who was working at the airport, wanted to get ahead, came back to Erie Neighborhood House, took some of our manufacturing and computer skills classes, and now is earning a higher paid job, a higher skilled job, earning more income from that specific position, which allows him advancement for him as well as his family. And so that's really about family sustainability, and economic sustainability for families is really what Erie Neighborhood House is all about.
Absolutely. And what that does really is it creates stability for the neighborhood.
Exactly.
And then stability for the children to stay in school, complete their education, and it's a virtuous cycle all the way around. I'm really interested in that example with Jose because you talked about manufacturing.
Yes.
And they just had the opening of the new digital manufacturing lab on Goose Island, and the notion of Chicago really being a hub for manufacturing. Is the focus on manufacturing something that's a regular part of what you do? I mean, is it?
So two of our specific workforce development tracks are around healthcare and then on manufacturing.
Perfect.
And that's specifically the reason, because we were hearing from manufacturers that two things: one, that they had an aging workforce, that people were aging out of the workforce, or it was also around the skill level. And when people were, again, everything becoming computerized, that they needed programs to be able to be that bridge, to be able to teach people the specific skills that they need to get those higher paying jobs.
That's fabulous. Well, you're really in a sweet spot. So that's certainly going to be a great thing going forward. Let's spend just a minute. You talked about education, and you referenced actually, Jose's child. Just a couple examples of the things that you do for our younger
ones. So I'm proud to say we have over services for over 200 2 to 5 year olds, and then we also have an after school program that serves children 6 to 12, and we serve approximately 200 children as well. And so that's full day preschool for working families. That's really critical. That's 7:30 to 5:30, Monday through Fridays. And again, we know that for families to be able to go to work, provide for the families, you need to be able to have childcare, and it should be high quality childcare.
Exactly.
Children are learning and being able to. We know that the research shows us that $1 invested now is $7 saved later on.
Absolutely.
With all the other services, incarceration and problems, in school. If we invest in early childhood, we definitely see the return on investment.
That's terrific. So you have so many resources, really, from what we call cradle to career for the whole family. If somebody wants to learn more about Erie House, how do we get in touch with you?
Sure. So you can definitely find out more about Erie Neighborhood House at our website, which is www.eriehouse.org. We also have a very strong social media presence, so you can find us on our Erie Neighborhood House webpage as well as on Twitter.
That's terrific. Celena, thank you so much for coming with us today. You're doing great work. Congratulations.
Thank you so much for having me, Shelley.
Our pleasure.